there was a lot of different takes on this, and I want to talk about it because I don't think it is black and white in terms of like, oh, this is a bad take, or oh, this is a correct take. Like, I mean, obviously, like, I think there's some truth to what Summit is saying, but I also think it's like kind of making a big deal out of almost like, you know, pretty much nothing. So here's my spiel, and then you guys, I want to hear what you guys think about this. So I think for the most part, people use their emotes with like good intention. Like, you know, there could be a bunch of reasons. Like maybe they're a Twitch affiliate and they didn't have access to, they never thought that they'd be able to have their own emotes on Twitch, and now they do, and that's super awesome, and they want to use their own emotes. You know, maybe it's situational. Maybe they don't have another emote that fits, or they don't have any other emote like memorized. I think that Twitch has a very interesting culture that revolves around emotes. I mean, it's almost like a language on its own. Like think about Kappa, and like for me, I and PogChamp, like these are like emotes and words that, you know, they don't make sense to people outside of the community, but like you could say Kappa and we know what you mean by that, right? It's not just an emo, like there's like a meaning behind that. So I think Twitch particularly has like a very emote centric environment to it. And you know, I think like, you know, if you're proud of your emotes and whatever, there's like a lot of genuine reasons why people post their own emotes. I do think that there is a small batch of streamers that are doing it for that kind of sleazy, subtle marketing technique. Like, for example, one thing to compare this to, in my opinion, is when you're like, oh, I just got done streaming. How's your stream going? Or, all right, I'll see you later. I'm going to go stream. See ya. Like, you know, it's like, I think this goes the same way, where there's like a lot of, you know, I think there's a lot of innocence behind a lot of these comments, but like, yes, there's definitely a group of people that are like, okay, maybe someone will come and watch me because of this emote that I posted. But what's your guys' take on this tweet in general?
You want to go, Dan?
I mean, mine's simple. I mean, in Glam and I actually have been talking about this all morning. So I think it's simple. You said it yourself. It's intention. It's almost always intention. And if you can't tell the intention of what somebody's doing, I don't know what to tell you. I maybe practice a little bit more. I just kicked my trash can. But like, try to get a feel of who the people that follow you are. If it's somebody that's new to your channel, like try to understand them, question what's going on, and be polite, create more. It's free content. Just talk to somebody about something. But it's almost always, yeah, it's just, I like this emote, I'm gonna use it right now. That's it. Doesn't get any more complicated than
so
that.
You're saying it's like not that deep, bro.
It really isn't. It really isn't. And to use your own emote. So the only time I really use my own emotes is in somebody I don't know's channel, because it allows me to connect with them and show them what my motif is, because all you see is a color and a name, right? So let's show you a little bit of what my motif is, and then we can connect on that. You like this, I like you, I'm in your stream for a reason. Let's, I don't know, chat, or it's good being here, or whatever it might be.
Yeah, that is an interesting way to look at it too. It kind of does help provide like a little bit of you know, illustration of who you are, right? Like by using your own emotes. So I think that's actually like an interesting point. Yeah, Glam, what about you?
I think it's important to acknowledge like the role that emotes play on Twitch, right? They are one of the few built-in ways to the platform that streamers have to incentivize people to sub, right? It's like one of the only tools that Twitch really gives us. And some of them on the platform have transcended the channel itself, right? There's people like Baru, who it's like their emotes are almost synonymous with the platform. So I think it is important to acknowledge like the power that emotes have on Twitch. But that being said, I personally don't give a shit if you use whatever emotes you want in my channel. I I can understand that some people may see it always as some type of self-promotion or marketing or something like that. But really, at the end of the day, I feel like if I'm going to lose viewership or subs to a 28 by 28 pixel image, then I'm maybe not doing a very good job as a creator or a streamer. And I need to look at myself and be better.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I think there's a lot of this is why I think it's dangerous to perpetuate that like posting your own emotes is a bad thing like across the board, because I think, like I said earlier, I think it's like a very small percent of people that are like doing it for, you know, nefarious reasons. I also think it's just like really largely it's not a very successful marketing tactic. Like it's as successful as going into a random person stream and just like pasting your link.
Right.
It's just like it really isn't going to do much for people. Yeah, maybe someone will click on it and think it's cool. Maybe you get someone to sub from it, but ultimately, like, there are very few people that sub to a random streamer just because of their emotes. Like, I think Baru is probably like, Baru gets a lot of people that sub just for his emotes, but he also has, what, 60 emotes? Like, there's some good value there.
It's a good deal.
Right. Like, that's a good, like, that's just like a great deal for emotes. Most people, they are going to have like, what, 3 to 10 emotes probably. Like, I don't think it's really doing much I don't think a lot of viewers are really just like gravitating towards that. And even the case, like, okay, you're getting $5 a month, or I guess half of that technically, for a sub, but if your content sucks, like, they're not going to stick around. Like, they don't convert to a viewer, and like long term, that isn't really a sustainable thing. Again, unless you're Baru, you have 60 slots, and Baru also gets like tens of thousands of viewers, mind you. So like, I feel like that's even an entirely different circumstance for most cases.
Right. Sure. I just was trying to acknowledge the strength that emotes can have on the
for sure. I mean, it is marketing. Emotes are marketing for your channel.
But in the same way, like I likened it to the same argument as I did it, and I saw Lowco's tweet later, is the checkmark argument. It's like, well, so an emote showing from your channel is just a way of saying that this is me, this is what I am. Yeah, I am a streamer. You can come follow me if you want. But does that ever? You can talk about whether that matters or not all we want, because we don't know who's following through. There's a lot of people that probably aren't vocal about it, so there's no data there, what have you. But that diminishes so much value from the actual product, because none of it is a product. It's all based on subscription, which goes away at the end of the month if you don't pay for it again. But it diminishes the actual product, which is the stream and the content behind the stream and what's going on there. If we want to make the argument that an emote is what promotes a channel and what shows that it's there, then we might as well just not do anything while we're on stream. Just sit there and do nothing, if that's all we need to do.
Yeah, and so I definitely think there are, so like I said, there are definitely people that post their own emotes and use them heavily for the idea of like, okay, maybe someone will notice this, maybe Senpai will notice me. For Summit's, like, if I'm looking at Summit's point of view, he's getting tens of thousands of viewers. His chat is just flying by. I'm sure he gets this more than we do, right? Like,
right.
People just posting their own emotes in hopes that out of 20,000 people, someone will check it out. And that makes that makes sense. Like there is a chance that someone will notice your emotes. So I can see how that's frustrating, right? Like, I totally understand that side. I don't think Summit is technically wrong in this situation. I think it's a dangerous broad notion, but I definitely think that there are like some bad eggs. So here's the thing though, like, how do you address this situation? Because, you know, I think that if you just kind of become, you make it a rule like that they can't, like, streamers can't post their own emotes, or you lash out, like, I think that starts to make you look like a villain, especially to your viewers who don't really understand the nuance.
Completely agree.
Yeah. So, I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely I think I personally, without a doubt, follow some type of unspoken etiquette where if I don't know the person I'm watching or their community very well, I generally don't go in gangbusting with my emotes. But if I know the streamer really, really well, or if I know that our communities are entwined, we share viewership or, that kind of thing, then, then I don't really, then I usually just do it casually. I don't even really think about it as much. Dan and I were talking earlier about maybe even if that concern itself is a bigger over umbrellaing issue as well, as far as like paranoia of how you should act on the platform as a partnered streamer, is a problem.
Yeah.
Which is probably a bigger conversation.
So what kind of triggered me this morning and why I kind of started arguing with people on Twitter, which is a bad mistake. Don't do that. Was because I saw this going down a deeper path than I think a lot of people did right away. It was this, like what Glam said, the paranoia that sort of sets in. We saw it with the check mark for a little bit. We saw it several times in the past couple of years, but we see it. The biggest one I see is backseating, and how that's pretty much a global rule these days of do not backseat. But if you come to my channel, like tell me the things to do, and I maybe that's different or weird, but like tell me what to do all the time. Just don't spoil any story stuff, and I'm cool with it. But when I ask people, hey, I want you to, we call it like jumping in the front seat. Jump in the front seat and actually like drive what we're doing. You're part of this content. Be part of it as much as you want. But people are so afraid to say anything because they're like, oh no, is this streamer going to jump down my throat and yell at me because I told him that I think he should do this one thing? And that's developed over this same mentality of, you're not allowed to do this one thing in this big person's chat, so it must be wrong everywhere. And I didn't want it to go down that road.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's what I'm worried about too, is like, I feel like you like, I don't know. I feel like if there's a sense of pride with your emotes that I feel like, especially for like Twitch affiliates who, they would have never had this opportunity to even have their own emotes. And now they have emotes that they probably paid for, right? With like a tighter budget. And they have these emotes they're really proud of. And now they're going to feel bad about using them like across the platform. See, I think like this is where it gets really dangerous, because I think that the broader notion of like, oh, never post your own emotes, don't do it, it's bad etiquette. Like, I think that becomes very dangerous, because I think it lends to a more jealous and insecure atmosphere, and it creates animosity within the streamer community. It's the same thing as like, streaming is like competitive, and like, your fellow streamers are competition. I just feel like that mindset does more harm than good. Like, I think if someone's going to post their own emotes, the consequences are probably pretty minor. Like I said, I don't think a lot of people are really getting or compelled to go and watch your stream now and leave that person's channel because you posted, an emote that looked cool. So yeah, I just kind of worry that like it's going to become a thing where like, I don't want people to feel bad about posting their emotes. And now I do want to ask, like, do you feel like there is some unspoken etiquette about this exact situation, like posting your emotes in someone who you've never been in? Or should you wait a little bit, get to know them? Or do you think like it's just like broadly should be fine?
Well, there's context, right? Like that's that answer. I don't think that question can be answered straight up. It's context. Are you just going in there and just posting an emote?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what if you are? What if there was something that happened on screen? It's like, hey, I love you guys. Thanks for hanging out and watching us. And I haven't chatted the whole time, but I was sitting in there and just said, hey, drop a Dano love in there. It's like, hey, it's cool. It's my emote. You see what I am and who I am, and just very quickly, it's the only thing that's chatting. Like, have we not understood that most people don't say a damn thing in chat anymore? Like, for like the majority of people who view Twitch, it's so weird to me that like if somebody posts something that and it's not racist, it's not sexist, it's not tearing somebody down, it's not directly negative for only that reason, why is it bad? I don't understand.
Yeah, right. It's about treating it as benign as it actually kind of is, right? I mean, Are there people whose intention are to drop emotes in a stream in order to try and entice viewership over to their channel? For sure, there are people that do that. All right, I think it would be naive to say there's not.
Yeah.
But what kind of a threat is that? Right? Like, is that really, like, who cares really at the end of the day? Like, is that going to be successful for them? Probably not.
Like, is it worth freaking out about and like banning people or lashing out?
For that one dummy, right?
Yeah, I think it just at that point makes that person look bad because it comes off as insecure. You know, and again, to like the viewers, like they're like, what is happening? Like, what? They can't post their like, right? Like viewers don't really like, they often don't really look at that side of things, like the streaming as like a business and as that perspective. So like from the outside, it kind of is like, whoa, okay. Like, and I think also, like the people that do this, they really don't get it. You're like, they don't really get how to market their stream, right? It's a low effort, low success marketing tactic. It's shady, and you're basically passing on an opportunity to like genuinely connect with the streamer, to hopefully maybe get one person to look at your stream because of your emotes, right? So I think these people are less of a threat because they don't really understand like proper marketing tactics and networking too. Like, I think these people are just always going to be coming and passing, right? They post their own emotes. They hope something happens. They move on. Like they're never really, I don't think they're really worth the effort or the energy to freak out about and lash out at, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's like Dan was saying earlier, context is king. So if if they're obviously self-promoting, that's generally frowned upon anyway, regardless of the form, be it an emote or dropping a link or whatever. The same outcome is gonna happen. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, so what do you guys think about like the whole like subtle, okay, well, I'm gonna go stream, I'll talk to you later, have a good day?
Again, I think it's intention, like,
yeah,
if they're being genuine, they just want to let you know what they're doing. Like, obviously we've like you said earlier in at the beginning, was we've created this language here, and that's why culture is so important. It's the whole reason I talked about culture on Twitter, was we've developed this language of, if you say anything about your stream, it's automatically self-promotion. But how many people have, and I'm regretfully, when I was pretty new, I would yell at people for this. Like, why are you promoting in my stream? Why are you doing this? And I learned this from other streamers. So it was a taught thing. Why are you doing that? And then I get a message later going, I don't know why you freaked out. I literally was just telling you what I was doing. I wasn't trying to get any promotion or anything. And this has happened on multiple occasions, which is why I think it's genuine. That they're just like, I was just talking. Like, sorry, I just wanted to talk to you. And,
yeah,
sorry.
Like, again, it's like there's definitely some people that do this intentionally, but there's also like, I feel like people forget what it's like when you start streaming. And I know I made really embarrassing mistakes as a streamer where like, I just like thought it was okay because I never really thought about streaming like in that way, more than just like, oh, I'm just gonna stream, like, right? So I know that I made some of these like to me are now like more obvious, and like I understand this now, but when I started, I definitely did not realize like this was looked down upon. And so like I would hate for people to kind of like write someone off because they kind of made one of these mistakes, right? Like I just don't think it's like often enough like malicious.
We generally use it as an educational kind of like opportunity, normally if it's like really apparent and it keeps getting pressed, like, hey, I'm about, if I'm getting close to the end of, say, my stream, and then somebody's like, hey, I'm about to start up, it's obviously they're kind of like goading for a host, or something. I generally kind of like overlook it, but then if it keeps pushing and pushing and pushing, I usually use it as an opportunity to educate and be like, hey, I hear you, I see you. Just so you know, a lot of people might take that as you using their, content to self-promote, which a lot of people feel weird about. So just careful. And I don't even know if that's to Dan's point, I don't even know if it's a good or bad thing that I react in that way.
No. So this is what I was talking about before too. you can tell when somebody's doing something malicious, and
Right.
that is exactly that situation. You can see the situation of you ending, the repetition of the same thing over and over again, the obvious goading towards, hey, I'm looking to do this and take opportunity here. Like, you can see those things, but 99% of the time it is not that. And so again, why are we punishing the whole for a couple of bad mistakes? Especially when those couple of people that make those bad mistakes can be taught. And it's like, hey, that's not really cool. Maybe
Right.
think about what you're doing first.
Yeah, it's a Hanlon's razor situation, right? Don't assume malice when it could just be not knowing, or not a lack of experience.
Yeah, so I want to give an example of why this is like a dangerous notion, because I don't know if you guys know Sam, but she had a story that happened earlier this month of let me pull it up here for you guys. She said a big streamer who I was cool with once banned me in their stream after I used one of my emotes during their front page stream for self-promoting. This is like something like, this is a situation where like this person was cool with this person, with the streamer, and got banned from their channel. Like, this is so like, to me, this is such a toxic mindset.
Yeah, I mean, if it didn't happen, I would totally understand, right? But the companies even do that. I've had front page slots where a company I've never worked for before in my entire life, and I won't name who they are here, but has like donated money to me out of nowhere only when I had a front page slot, just to get an alert up on screen about like, hey, look at our product. So these types of things do happen on Twitch, right? We can't just act like these people are crazy for thinking, for thinking that way. But, like, to your point, got to be a little bit careful. Judging context can be difficult.
I just feel like it's one of those things where you kind of store it as like, you make a note of it. Like, okay, this happened, this person came in. Cause like, I mean, yeah, when you're front page, like, you will see people in your channel that you never see. You will see more partners in your channel that you haven't seen before. But am I going to ban everyone with a verified badge, or like scan who's posting what emotes when I'm like trying to capitalize on a promotional situation? Like, I'm not going to like monitor that. Like, I feel like, okay, I'll make a note of that. And if they come by a different time, like, that's cool. But I just think like, but you're going to just ban them? Like, I don't know. I feel like that comes off as just super insecure and like paranoid.
It is like, that's the key word, is paranoia. It's just right. It's just building and building paranoia. And when other streamers teach other streamers that it's okay to be paranoid, or you're supposed to be paranoid about those things, it just gets worse and worse and worse. Then, like you're saying, it becomes more dangerous.
Yeah. And so the reason why I tweeted a comparison to the partner badge is because I don't know if you guys remember what it was like when the partner badge came out, but I sure as hell saw a lot of people in my chat that I've never seen before and didn't see since. They were just coming by, saying hi, happen to have the partner badge. And to me, I was like, I was just whatever. I'm not going to like freak out about it on the stream. I think it's just like, again, it just goes like, I was just like a little catty. Like, it doesn't really matter that much. But I did make a note of it and noted that these people never came back. I don't remember their names personally, so it doesn't really matter. But, I've seen stories of people lashing out at partners for having the badge on. And like, this is both partners and affiliates that have done this. Like, do we want the community to really become so catty that we just like, we assume everyone's in it for the worst intentions, and now we're punishing people for having a partner badge, posting their own emotes? Like I feel like it's just like a slippery slope, and it creates a community and a culture that I just am not really a fan of. I just think it sucks.
Oh, I totally agree with you. It sucks. Yeah.
100% sucks. Like,
yeah.
Just think about how many people's emotes are of themselves, and they see it as an avatar or a mascot, where they're like, I want the visual image of me being in chat saying hi. It's like, what's wrong with that? It got me so angry this morning. I don't know why.
Now, do you think that this is the same as, So I mean, I think it's interesting because a lot of streamers have a top donor slot or like, you know, top cheerer slot. And like, what, like, is that okay? Like, can streamers like, I mean, because people do that. Like, people spend money heavily on other people's channels to bridge relationships and get their name on there. Should that be villainized, or is it fine because they're giving you money?
Morality is wiped when money's involved.
I've had people donate a lot of money and then demand mod positions from me. Hey, I donated $300 or tips. I should say tips, not donated, right? I tipped $300. Are you gonna mod me?
Well, just imagine if you're a hot girl, what they'd ask for.
Right.
Because I'm not a woman, nor is Glam. But I know there's a lot of people, including Lowco, that have probably, most definitely, had some type of weird interaction based off of gifted subs or tips or whatever it might have been because money was involved.
Yeah. So essentially, like, you know, tipping is a form of advertising. We've seen it with companies. With companies, it's very obvious because it's got a company name. Like, you know, this company dropped 100 subs. Cash App has been doing that a lot lately to big streamers. I thought I turned my alerts off. Dang it. So I guess, like, you know, I don't know. I think it's interesting because it's like I don't feel like that's ever discussed. Like, is that a bad practice for people to like tip heavily to get their name on screen and be the top tipper? I don't know.
I mean, it's up to. I mean, everything's up to the streamer, right? And if you don't want that on there, you just get rid of it, right?
Yeah, you just don't have it on there. But it's the same kind of thing, right? That we're talking about that goes along exactly. You know, it all depends on how. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't bother me. It's fine.
Well, you said this before we got into this, Lowco, when you were solo, that there's no black and white answer, and I think that is something that is looked over by every single person ever to ever see anything. There's so much gray happening here, and it's situation based. It's circumstantial. If something's bad, you get rid of it. If something's good, you keep it. Like, but a knife could be used to cut food. It can also be used to kill somebody. That is not a black and white good or bad
You know,
thing.
now that you say that, it gives me some ideas. I'm gonna go chop some food now.
Viciously.
Yeah, so I mean, ultimately, yes, it's your channel. You can run it how you want, right? Like, if people make it a rule that you can't post your own emotes and they get mad about that, then that's on them, and that's how they choose to run their channel, right? Like, we used this argument before when it was unpopular, but it's still valid, even if you don't agree with it. Now, does that mean, am I going to be fond of that person? Am I going to want to stick around? Probably not. I feel like that puts a bad taste in my mouth. I'm like, I mean, not that I was like planning on just using my emotes, but like sometimes I use my emotes because like I want to respond in a certain way, and I'm not going to scroll through all the emotes I have to find the right thing. Like, I'm like, oh, I know that like my Lowco sip makes perfect sense here. I don't know if I have another sip emote. I'm just going to post it, right?
No, for sure. Like, I often talk about how I hate ketchup, and if you have a emote about how you hate ketchup and you use it, I would be so stoked. That would be amazing.
I personally love catsup. I think it's delicious. I put it on everything.
Canadian ketchup?
Catsup. I don't know. I like catsup. I had catsup with hot dogs last night for dinner.
Catsup.
Mm-hmm.
So I know this isn't specifically the topic, but I like when I see other channels' emotes posted by their subs. I know that we're talking about self-promoting and stuff like that, but I almost feel like, is it not? So it's not the person doing it, right? But is it not the same idea that if somebody posts another channel's emote, that it works exactly the same? If we want to argue that a emote is self-promotion, can we not argue that an emote is also other people's promotion?
Yeah, I think there are definitely some weird cases of people getting like upset by that, but I think if I'm stepping into the shoes of a streamer that's getting mad about that, I think like it's all about control, and like, again, the viewers don't really get it. Whereas there are definitely some people that are streamers that get what they're doing by posting their emotes, where streamers are just, I mean, viewers are just, doing their thing. But yeah, I mean, sometimes you'll see viewers do the same thing where they're just spam emotes that are not, they're just spamming emotes, just to spam emotes. But I never think that they're doing it to advertise that stream. I think they're just happy they have emotes. I don't know.
Like when somebody subs to me, there's a couple people, a couple people every time that post my emote and then 5 of their other subs emotes. And I'm sitting there and I'll see that every now and then. I go, oh, you're sub to this person. I happen to really like that person. That's awesome. I know more about you now. I know what communities you're from and I know where it came from. It's like, it's only positive to me that I see another channel's emote in my chat.
I don't know. I just feel like emotes are such a part of culture. I don't, if I see a cool emote, I usually hover over and see whose emote it is. Exactly. And that's it. Like, I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, I probably don't know who they are anyways, but, someone said in my chat that they've been purged for using my emotes in another channel.
Yeah, I'm sure this has all happened. This is what I'm talking about though, is like, because one person does something, the next 10 people that do it are automatically evil for it. And it's like, that is punishing everybody for a small person's mistake or a small number of people's mistake.
To me, that's just wild. If like a viewer non-streamer is just using whatever emotes they have at their disposal, then and somebody gets mad about that, that's just loony to me.
That was good. Loony. Whiskey says, I think it's different, but I literally just heard a story about a streamer being mad at that viewers were using someone else's emo in their channel. See, and I think that's like this where you get into the slippery slope of like condemning people for choosing certain emotes to use. Like, it just is like, come on, like they're just emotes. Like, come on.
It's to get into the head of a person who gets mad about this that may not necessarily understand why. So this is why it's very important to see why it's important to see how big of a broadcaster like Summit has on the communities and as a meta influencer, influences their influencers. So I found myself doing exactly what we were talking about like years and years ago, almost 4.5 years ago. And then I finally said, wait, why am I mad at this? This affects me none. There's absolutely nothing that has changed in the several times we've seen this happen. And I just sat there and it was just like a revelation of like, why do I even care? And I think there's a lot of people that sit in that same situation where they're upset about it because a lot of other people are upset about it, and it's people that they respect, and they sit there and go, I don't know why I'm upset about this. And this isn't to say that you should not respect those people anymore. It's just to say that sometimes you don't agree with certain things, but they do all these other amazing things very well. But just think about it. Why does it upset you? And if it does, then it does, and maybe you should stick with it. But if it really doesn't, then maybe think about dropping it.
Yeah. I think the best way to just summarize this in a nutshell is, okay, as a streamer, you obviously can make whatever rules you want for your channel. You can choose what happens and what doesn't. Yes, there are definitely bad eggs that do this to try to market their stream. Is it a widespread problem? No. Should we condemn broadly the idea of streamers using their own emotes? No. I think that's more dangerous than good. I think it's just such a small subpopulation of people that are doing that. And again, it's just like, if it was super effective, I would get it. I'd be like, oh God, don't. But and I don't have any stats, obviously. This is just like in my opinion, I don't think it's that effective. I think it's akin to posting a link to your channel and saying that you have giveaways, right? Like maybe someone will come over, but if your content sucks, then you're just like, long term, it really doesn't do anything, right? And I think yes, I do think someone like Summit does see this a lot more often than we do, but I also think that he's got 20,000 people, and like, is he really concerned about losing like 2? So I don't think his opinion is technically wrong. I think I definitely understand his line of thinking, but I think it's just not worth this anger, and like, I don't think he's angry, but I just don't like the where this could be headed, I guess.
To be fair, what Summit did is he put kindling down. He didn't light the fire. He didn't
Right.
Yeah.
He didn't blow
bait
anything
for
up.
sure.
He put kindling down. And then a bunch of other people went and poured gasoline on it. So like he's just noticing something and he's speaking out loud, speaking to the void. And that's whether he knows what was going to happen or not. That's all he really did. He didn't do anything harmful. He just said a couple things. So yeah, like there's nothing wrong with what he said.
No, not at all. My big takeaway is if I feel so threatened or fragile or offended by other people using emotes in my channel, then I need to step back and assess my own content and my goals for the platform and what I'm trying to put out there in the world, and be happy with that. Because as long as I'm happy with that, an emote means nothing at all.
Right. People should be like everybody that I'm talking to right now, be proud of your content, be proud of what you do. If people leave to go for a giveaway, that's all they're going to do. They're going to enter that giveaway and they're probably going to be right on back because they like what you do. It's the whole reason they're there in the first place.
Right. Yeah. And I guess why my perspective comes from making naive mistakes like this when I was starting streaming and knowing that there are definitely people out there that kind of do this and don't realize that it could come off poorly. And B, dealing with people who had a lot of jealousy and paranoia like other streamers and having really bad interactions because they would just keep interpreting something that I did as being like with malicious intent and like attacking my character, right? And that was a really bad experience that I've had with some people. So, you know, I hate, like, that sucks. Like, this just sucks for me. It sucks for that person to be like caught up in feeling that way. And you know, it's usually people who don't succeed because they are too busy worrying about what other people are doing and why people are leaving rather than just honing in on their content and what they're doing on their own channel.
100%.
And obviously this isn't the same severity, but it is still the same line of thinking and line of like emotion. Is a cycle of abuse continues when the cycle continues, right? So if we want to be different, we have to take everything that we see and come at us and then put that into our own filter and how we feel about it instead of continuing what we see because it's just going to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it would be sad if everyone thought that was acceptable. I totally agree.
Okay, well, unless you guys have anything else, I think that's pretty much. I think we pretty much nailed it out.
No, yeah, I feel good.
You feel like you got it all out there.
Yeah,
I feel like
don't use Lowco's emotes on my channel, please. Anybody?
Yeah.
Come over.
Please use Lowco sip everywhere.
Also banned.
Banned immediately. I have a Stream Deck button set up that says ban anybody using this specific emote.
Yeah, I really enjoy these conversations. Glam and Dan, thank you guys for joining me. Please shout out your channel and let people follow you.
Go for it, Dano.
Oh, okay. Twitch.tv/Summit1g. I mean, I am Twitch.tv/Danotage. I'm very late night streamer, so like we're like witching hour vampire people. That's just who we are. But you can also watch Twitch.tv/StreamerSquare today at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. We're gonna be talking about stuff on the show.
Awesome. Glam, what about you?
I'm Glam. You can find me at twitch.tv/GlamShatterSkull or onlyglams.com. We play a lot of different games. Currently, we are super hardcore into ESO. We're doing lots of charity work, and we talk a lot about metal music. Go over new releases weekly about albums that come out. If you're into metal music or being a evil sorcerer warlock, then our channel might be right up your alley.
Huzzah!
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining me. And if anyone here is watching and wants to be a part of our discussions, just keep it on my Twitter and hit me up if you ever want to be on the stream to talk about this kind of stuff. Thank you guys for joining me, and I'll just say bye to you guys. Say bye to the stream.
Always a pleasure. Thanks, Dano.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.